Hello everybody, it's Furball here again, and today we're going to be having some more quick tips in No Man's Sky. So, over the weekend I was wandering around doing my usual sort of discovery, floaty abouty, just see what happens type stuff, and I discovered this big rock. Wow, it's a big rock. Well, it's kind of a sort of special big rock because I started mining it, as kind of am now, and if we blow a fair bit of it away, and the first thing that I actually noticed about this big rock is that you get to certain points and you can see, look there, look, I'm sort of trying to get the core of it and it won't actually blow it away and get anything, even if you use, say for example, the grenade on it. Well, that actually took a bit of the ones around it, but if we go a bit deep, see, we got to a point there that you can't actually blow any more of the rock around. So this rock has a big core, which I thought was quite bad because there's loads of iridium there that I can't mine, but that did get me looking further. So I decided to actually do a lot more mining, and what I'll do now, because it'll take a lot of mining, I'll cut away in a moment, but one thing that I will show you first is when I used my scanner I did notice this. See how far that went down there? If we wait for the scanner to recharge again, and we'll probably go over here a little bit where you might, the ground's a bit darker so you might actually get to see it a bit easier. So if we look, there's the rock. If we go down, see how deep that goes. So that's an idea of the task that was before me. So in a minute we'll I'll cut away now and we'll show you how deep it went. So I've dug myself all the way to the bottom. As you can see there is actually the floor, and we can see how deep we got, which is quite deep, and took me I don't know, it took me about 10 minutes to clear this. I haven't been extremely efficient like I have been over the weekend. See, I've left quite a bit there, but you can see it is a very deep node. Now what we'll do is, well, you can see I've cleared a hell of a lot of it, and you can see I've cleared the floor where possible. This bit here is actually just sort of normal rock, so that you can't mine that. And as I say, there's this core here that you can't mine. Oh, there's a little bit comes up. It's kind of a little bit fussy because there's little bits that stick out, but obviously is the core that you can't mine. So yeah, well, you can see the floor is clear. So if you keep that in mind, and there we are again, we can see the floor from the top. From the ground. It's not the top because there's the top, from the ground. So we can see the floor from the ground, and we saw the floor was all clear down the bottom. So what I'm going to do is we're going to wander off a short distance, and then we'll come back and we'll see what it looks like then. So I'm going off this way, be back in a minute. So I just took a short walk, as I said I would, and as you will see in a minute, I actually mined this green rock over here, which is a large boulder of emerald. It's not actually there because I've actually mined it. Now I think that is the kind of game telling you, much like if we look up here, you can see the rock appears to have reformed, but once we get close enough, it should actually update properly, and it will show you the current state that it's in. So you're going to do that any second now. There we go. So that's and I think that's the game showing you that they do actually respawn. And if we go up, if you remember, we could have a look all the way down and we could see all the floor. So if we go up to the edge, and if we have a look over, it's now pretty much reformed. So yes, they do respawn very quickly. Okay, so I wandered off a short distance. As you can see, there's the big red rock. Now, it hasn't actually respawned, which you've probably already seen, because this bit is actually filled before but being shown after. Slightly confusing, but that's just to show how far away I are. I just took a little wander across here because I wanted to show you this. Now, this here is a big, well, it's not a huge, but it's a big enough emerald rock, which I have mined multiple times. Now, the thing I will note with these is they don't spawn or respawn anywhere as near as quickly. This is usually kind of a few hours, I've sort of left it overnight in this case, for example, for it to respawn fully. But it's only a kind of small one. As you can see, it's sort of a normal one. It does have a sort of base just underneath the ground. But it's worth noting that it seems that all the resources seem to actually respawn. So if that big red rock, or that blue one there, for example, which is just some crappy iridium, where's my ship gone? There's my ship gone. So if the nice big red rock over there was actually some emerald, we would be seriously in the money, because it would just keep respawning kind of almost endlessly, and we'd be mega rich. But sadly, at the moment, I've only found this small emerald. Sadly, if I'd known about this before, I did actually find a nice patch where there was kind of 4 of these rocks in a small sort of area, and I mined them all and wandered off, and I have no idea where they are now. At the moment, it's kind of hard. It took me a while to figure out how to, for example, even I just find that one again, and I will show you that in a second. So to actually mark this area out so that I can see it from space, particularly because obviously you go off, they are vast planets. After parking my ship right next to it, so I obviously couldn't lose it initially, I wandered off into the desert a little bit and started having a look at the green question mark thing, which I'm sure everyone's kind of seen before. Found myself one of those outposts with a signal scanner, and then I used it multiple times. It helps to be one that's actually close by, because they show you all the things nearby, and started looking for various shelters. Now I brought up about 10, but if we go up here, you can see there's a shelter on top of this hill up there, and there's also a drop pod next to it, which usually I do actually farm, but in this case I've kind of left it because it makes a huge marker point, really. So there's a drop pod next to a shelter, and as I said, I usually farm all the other drop pods, so I know to look for the drop pod, and once I kind of get to it, I get to the hill there, and then I immediately know where I am, as we'll kind of show you in a moment. So I've come into orbit, and as you can see, there's my conveniently placed shelter and drop pod marker, so I know exactly where to go. If we have a look over here, I've got another planet over here, and you can see them from anywhere in the solar system pretty much. So you can go off to your space station, sell all your stuff, and very easily come back and find your very special mining node, which, hopefully it'll be better than my iridium, which is actually quite good, but I'm fingers crossed for an emerald one or something like that, and then I'll be extremely rich. So I hope you did find that useful. If you do, please do press the like button. Please do feel free to subscribe. There will be a link to my normal playthrough of No Man's Sky down below, and this tip should actually be in a little playlist, so you can see lots of other tips about how to make money, and how to find your exosuit upgrades, and how to break your way out of a cave when you're lost, for example, and anything else that I think might be useful. So thank you very much, and bye bye for now.